Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Love that song. Hey, cats and kittens. Welcome to Superconnectivity. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, SPHR. And with me, as always, is
Phil Podcast Perich.
Phil Podcast Perich, the veritable blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits. That's my friend. That's my man. That is the one who makes all podcasts possible. We're so glad you're here, Philip, because, we're talking about a very interesting character today. For those who don't know, for those who missed our Christmas episode, where we discussed the history and complex origins and weirdness that is Santa Claus in the Marvel and DC universe, today we're doing a deep dive into everyone's favorite MacGuffin Easter egg in Hawkeye this week, Agent 19, Bobby Morse, Dr. Bobby Morse, PhD, and of course, Mockingbird. And this is an interesting character, Phil.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
She gets her start. Let me find my citations on this. She gets her start way back in Astonishing Tales number 12. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's when she. Sorry, that's way into her origin. So she gets her start in Astonishing Tales number 6.
Yes.
She gets her first appearance in a Kazar feature, where she essentially comes as a psychic investigator because she needs to find Kazar, Kevin Plunder, Lord Plunder, as they say. But of course, he's off in the Savage Lands. Bobby goes there. She has adventures with her then fiance. I want to say his name is Clay. Yeah, and they have a lot of distressed adventures in which she is kind of a damsel in distress. And anyway, she's got a whole history here before they get around to essentially deciding, hey, you know what would be fun? What if we had a Green Arrow and
Black Canary, yeah.
Black Canary pair up too? What if we just did what DC is doing?
So yeah,
remember those days?
Yeah, so she meets Hawkeye in the Hawkeye miniseries in 1983, and by the end of it, they're married. They get married. So yeah, I think they know each other for a week maybe, and that's when they're married by the end of it. So,
which again, this is so for those who don't know, the impetus for making Mockingbird Agent 19, our first foray into this, is because there was this questionable arguable reveal at the end of the current Hawkeye series, where it is suggested that Laura Barton is in fact Mephisto confirmed Agent 19. The primary difference being is that clearly Agent 19, Laura Barton, has a healthy and successful relationship with Clint Barton,
Yes.
whereas Mockingbird and Clint's relationship is nothing but trash from start to finish. There's a lot of anger and recrimination and recognition that, Clint's kind of a gigantic man baby at times, which doesn't fit well with the MCU Clint.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The MCU Clint, who is much more based on the Ultimate Clint, who doesn't have a Mockingbird, but instead just has a wife and kids and a farm. Because he's just a guy who shoots people with arrows.
All right, you're the Agents of Shield expert here. Did they ever say how long Mockingbird was a Shield agent? Because I was going to say it's entirely possible she could have taken over as Mockingbird after Laura Barton retired or whatever.
Well, you see, but here's the sticky wicket. They never call her
Exactly.
They never call Mockingbird Agents of Shield Agent 19. And they never call Laura Barton Agent 19 Mockingbird.
Yes, exactly.
So I kind of feel like we're building kind of this two separate groups kind of establishment, which is like, yes, a character name we have is a character named Agent 19.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Mockingbird in some comics has been called Agent 19. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like the double O's, we just saw a new series, the most recent 007 series, the most recent James Bond series, where someone else is the new 007. Mm-hmm. Because it is, when you get to elite spies, the number is limited and transferable. As I've pointed out that, Peggy Carter and Sharon Carter have both been called Agent 13 in the past. Mm-hmm. So, when you start to break it down, it's like, okay, so however you're breaking it down, the Brits have the double O's, the Shield has the teens, which makes you wonder, does it start with 13 and end at 19?
No.
Or does it, do 10 and 11 and 12 get in there? Do you have an Agent 21? I don't know. I'm not sure all of the rules of it, but clearly you can repeat numbers if you have a reason to. Because, and arguably, anytime any of these agents die or retire, someone else has to be has to get that New Jersey number, Mm-hmm. I don't think they retire your spy number. That's the idea. But moving right along, it's interesting because she has had this long history in Marvel, both in marrying Hawkeye, divorcing Hawkeye, working with Hawkeye after the divorce. And people will point out that I guess they did stay married for a good long time, but it was never a good marriage. It wasn't a Reed and Sue marriage.
No. Yeah, because like I said, they got married quick, and then they she was there when he first formed the West Coast Avengers and stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of turmoil there.
But even when he goes off to the Great Lakes Avengers, and even there, Mockingbird is like, haranguing him. You just keep on moving from thing to thing. Mm-hmm. Focus on what you're doing. Build your plan. Mm-hmm. And it's like he doesn't want it. Because he's a kid who ran away and joined the circus. Him and his brother. They ran away. They joined the circus. They're circus folk, and they can't sit still, and they get very mad about everything.
Well, by the time we even get to the Great Lakes Avengers, we've already gone through the whole Phantom Rider debacle. So
yeah, and that of course is part of the long 80s tradition of let's brainwash women. And was that John Byrne who wrote that series?
He did write it at some point. I can double check, but I don't think he wrote those issues. I mean, they don't show it, but it's kind of vaguely hinted at that it's like, yeah, the Phantom Rider, she was stuck in the Old West and he kind of hypnotized her into loving him. So there was kind of like, it's like, oh, there might've been some rape here or something. And then,
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what it is it just strikes me that so you have, of course, you have what's her name, Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
You have you have Carol Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
You have this is kind of a trope where it's like, and I don't quite understand this trope. I don't know what they were trying to build with this trope, and of course, it becomes this whole thing for um you know for Hawkeye and Mockingbird, where you know she lets Phantom Rider fall to his death,
Yes.
and Hawkeye is like, that's not what we Avengers do. Now, come a few years later, and Hawkeye's like, yeah, I need to kill Norman Osborn, but still, it even if he wasn't in that I got to kill Norman Osborn mindset at that point, it comes off as cold and callous and cruel.
Yes.
And that is what starts to sow the seeds of their eventual disillusion. And they do divorce, and then shortly thereafter, Mockingbird seemingly dies.
Yep. And do you remember where she dies in West Coast Avengers West Coast 100?
Well, is there a special place she dies? No, I don't know exactly.
Wait. Wait. I was going to say Mephisto's. I think it's Mephisto's realm, I believe.
Does she, or does she? No, she shows up in Mephisto's realm later. Well, she
I think
shows up in hell later.
I think she died. I think it did have to do with Mephisto, and then later on when they might go after
I'm not
her.
sure.
Yeah. But
it goes into, because as it turns out, it was a scroll all along.
By secret invasion. Yeah, it was a scroll. So there's a scroll.
Yeah, although man, that's a whole other bag of hammers. Where there's this whole question of, did the Mockingbird we get back, is she a Skrull? Is she really Mockingbird? Did they just create a Skrull to replace Mockingbird? I'm going to be honest with you, this has never been answered satisfactorily to my concerns to this day. Because you actually establish in Secret Invasion that the Skrulls don't always know they're Skrulls.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing. It looked like the original Marvel. It looked like Marvel had come back from the dead, and he was one of these Skrulls. And the thing with him though is his programming, I guess, was broken, so that he couldn't wake up. He couldn't wake up his original Skrull self. So he finds out he's a Skrull, but he's like, but I don't remember any of that. All I remember is Marvel's memories.
Yeah, but that poses this interesting question when you look at a character like Mockingbird, who again we see then in Patsy Walker Hellcat fighting eternally in the Ring of Hell. And here's this thing: is it the Skrull's soul doomed to Mephisto's realm? And she even says in that thing, there are things about me you don't know. Because she says, you're Mockingbird, you're a hero. Why are you in this place? And she's like, I'm a warrior, I'm a spy. It's interesting because if you read it, there's ways you can read this that she never says anything that wouldn't be true of the Skrull too.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this just the Skrull, but she's also locked in this Mockingbird form? That she maybe has learned who she is, but she also is stuck being this person, taking on their memories, their sins, their guilt, and her own.
And it's Mephisto. Is Mephisto just messing with this Skrull and using the Skrull to mess with Patsy Walker and other people too?
I mean, that's the fun of Mephisto. Although, as I always say, I always feel like so much of Mephisto's power is just everyone just going along. Like, it's just like, because if you think about it, just the entire idea of him having you sign a contract, and it's just this idea of, and no one ever asks, well, what's the court that enforces this contract? What is the jurisdiction? Where will this contract be adjudicated if there's a dispute? What's the arbitration rules on this contract? No one ever gets into the fine print,
I'm just
Even the leader, when he does his, I figured out the perfect contract to defeat Mephisto, even he. But at no point, I get the feeling if Jen Walters ever signed a deal with Mephisto, she would one second. No, okay, no, that's out. Okay, see here, no, that we're not going to do that. So here's what we're going to do: we're going to create a contract binding in the state of New York City, or binding in the state of New York under the jurisprudence of New York guidelines. We'll get it notarized. I know a guy in Queens. It'll be fine. Then we'll do this contract. This will be the form of binding arbitration that we agree to. Which of course always reminds me of my favorite SNL sketch when Satan gets taken to the people's court because and John Lovitz is Satan, which is my favorite version of Satan, and probably informs my thinking of if we ever get Mephisto, get John Lovitz back for Mephisto. It'll be perfect. Anyway, getting back to Mockingbird. So this is what's interesting about the whole Phantom Rider story is that years later, Chelsea Kane does a Mockingbird book, which they tell me is very controversial. I'm not sure it's particularly controversial, I'll be honest with you.
To certain people, I guess. That's the one.
Yeah. Well,
you don't know the cover. Ask me about my feminist agenda and stuff.
Ask me about my feminist agenda. It's very much of it's very much intended to trigger people, and sure enough, it triggered people, and that's fine by my book. But what really bothered me, well, I don't want to say it bothered me, but there is this idea where it is suggested that no, actually, she was kind of into being with Phantom Rider.
No.
And I do feel like at the same time, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna kink shame Mockingbird on this.
Yeah.
But and yeah, she was in kind of a rough relationship with Hawkeye. We've established that. But at the same time, you're coming to this and you're saying, well, but do we want to take this away? Do we want to minimize what this was? And then if she was into it, then what is the decision to let him fall to his death? It's a weird way to kind of, and which I think this has sort of been ignored by later writers, as often happens. Because I think that's a lot of what Mockingbird's history has been. It's like she has been rewoven retroactively into a lot of history of Marvel. But at the same time, things that don't quite fit get forgotten about. And, I think that, of course, again, makes a perfect parallel to what's going on in the MCU right now with what may or may not be canon, what will or will not carry forward, and who's going to be what and where. Because, you know what? The things that work, the things that help our story, we'll say that did happen. And we're going to reintegrate ideas into the past that you weren't aware of, which we've already done with Mysterio. And at the same time, we're not going to say that it didn't happen. We're just going to say, I don't remember it. I do not recall it this time, Your Honor. And that's my thoughts on Mockingbird. Any final thoughts, Phil?
I was gonna say, I was catching up on my full stream of heads, and what was that when you guys were you and Moz were talking? It was at Hawkeye episode 3 or 4. I mean, you had an interesting point about Hank Pym was all territorial with those Pym particles. Now all of a sudden Hawkeye had some. So is this is there a theory? Is Pym a Skrull like he was in the comics? Is that going to be a thing in Secret Invasion? I mean, that's a way for them to clean up a lot of continuity. It's like, oh hey, so and so was a Skrull. This that.
Well, certainly, and I'm not dismissing the Hank Pym is a Skrull the whole time theory.
Mhm.
The only thing I will say is that at the very end, so spoilers for Hawkeye, when a pin particle usage has a negative outcome, or that they're not quite sure what to do with it, uh, Clint specifically says, "I'll have to ask Scott what to do next," um, since he had not anticipated that. He didn't know
Yes.
what he was going to do with that. Um, yeah, man, if you think about it, like if you were to, like if you use the shrinking pin particle arrow and you did that same shoot arrow thing,
Mhm.
but it would have its same velocity and force condensed in that tiny pinprick space. I mean, that could go through a person
Oh yeah.
easily. You could do a little ice pick lobotomy on somebody doing that. Eee, that's scary. Okay. But that's, I mean, that's the thing. We don't know what we're building towards. We know that something called Secret Invasion is coming. We know that Fury's been off world, but do
Mhm.
people know that Fury's been having Skrulls run around on Earth in his stead? You know, there's all sorts of questions with that. But we have to watch more. We have to give Disney more money to find out. That's how they get you.
Mhm.
Because no matter what you're interested in, they probably go just the thing to tempt you, Phil.
Mhm.
Speaking of which,
Oh boy.
The Amazing Spider-Man, brought to you by the Beyond Corporation.
Ooh.
White Suit Otto in all his glory.
Yes. This was
This,
his.
this-
This was his
yeah.
book this week. I think he was in this more than Ben Riley.
Honestly, Ben Riley always seems secondary in his books. I mean, honestly, he is so Peter number two. And
You're welcome. Love.
there's knockoff MJ and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like at no point in this is this character. I don't necessarily know if I get Ben Riley. I get he's I mean, and arguably, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Like when you conceive of Ben Riley and you conceive of the end of Homecoming, it's like, oh wow, Peter Parker is kind of in that same spot that Ben Riley was, where he kind of like no one knows who he is. He's trying to live his own life, but he has to sort of, he's basically an undocumented clone. But I don't know, it's weird. And Otto getting through it, and honestly, I will say this: I love the fact that Otto does beat up Spider-Man
Yeah.
again so easily.
Okay, my question is, so I don't think I don't think Otto still knows who Peter is and everything, but it's like, does I'm pretty sure Otto knows this isn't the original Spider-Man, right?
I think, yeah, he knows it's not. He knows it's not the Spider-Man body he was in.
Yeah.
So he knows there's something different about this. This isn't my Spider-Man. You are not the superior Spider-Man, clearly.
Because he even throws out that line when he leaves. He's like, "Yeah, hopefully your corporate masters or whatever hire somebody better next time."
Yeah. I will say this though. I do like the end of it where they're all worried about what he's going to do, and he's like, "No, I'm here to see. I'm here to see Ms. Power." you know.
Oh yeah, does his wardrobe change? Yeah.
Yeah. And now he knows they've got like text to disable, so he's just going to put a button on it to not disable that. Sort of like when he made the mind control thumb king for the Kingpin in Devil's Reign. He's like, yeah, dude, I already made sure you can't control my mind with the technological device you had me build for you, you moron. Um, yeah, I mean, it's an Auto story. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I would take a complete Otto Octavius series, but I liked Tolliver. And granted, yeah, if Tolliver was chubby, I'd still love him. I want Anna Maria back, I miss Anna Maria. Honestly, I think that's the main thing that is missing from every story. She is such a great character, and I want her back, Phil. And that's my final thought. Just give me Anna Maria and Fiona Fitzhugh. I want a buddy book. Anna Maria Marconi and Fiona Fitzhugh solving crimes across the multiverse.
I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but I know, I mean, we're going to be covering it here on Superconnectivity. I mean, Otto's getting his Superior 4 miniseries coming up here, so it would be nice if Anna Maria showed up there, but it's probably not going to happen.
I mean, that would be awesome. That would be great. I mean, I would love it if Tolliver shows up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, he's playing with the multiverse.
He's pulling all of the, there's got to be one that was just smart enough to say, you were Mephisto. You were literally the devil. I'm not going to make a deal with you. That would be the ultimate stupid idea.
Exactly.
Now, of course, Otto would be like, "Oh, it was a perfectly cromulent idea." It's like, I don't think it was.
Oh my god, that's it. That's how you bring him back. You don't do a clone body. Yeah, you pull a version of him from the multiverse who didn't make the deal, and he just looks at Otto and it's like, "What are you doing? You're working for Fisk. We don't lower ourselves for Fisk or any man. We're Otto freaking Gunther Octavius. Come on."
Exactly, man. Ugh. Put some respect on your own dang name, Otto.
Otto slaps himself around.
Letting yourself be manipulated by some Penny Annie Halloween store knockoff.
Come on
now. You want to give us a book before I go into the next dozen books I have here?
Well, I know you said you got Captain America Iron Man #2, correct?
Oh, yes. Where did that go? Yes. Had all these books here a second ago, but now they're all missing. But yes, tell me your thoughts on Captain America and Iron Man.
I mean, it was interesting. Again, the art is wonderful on this. Man, we're really rubbing the salt in Cap's wounds there when this villain uses the old, Hydra Supreme Cap's armor.
Yeah, well, I mean, you use what you got, I guess. Where did I put this book?
But
this is so weird. That book is missing from my bag. I'm missing a few books right now, so I got to find those later.
Oh my. But no, I'm interested to see where this goes, because I mean, we're getting the whole what's her face, Veronica Eden, and
I'm liking her more.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to see what 51 does. Honestly, 51 is kind of interesting to me, because my curiosity's been piqued. I won't lie. My curiosity is piqued with this character, and I am looking forward to see what they do with her. I'm not quite sure where we're going with it. It's all still a little bit weird, a little bit campy, which I like, but it's always a little bit weird when things get campy, and I'm not ready for it in that book. But I like where we're going with it.
Yeah, I even like the interplay between Steve and Tony and everything.
Oh yeah, honestly, that's some of the best, and I love. It's interesting. It's interesting in many ways, because to me, it's very much the the Superman Batman dynamic.
Yes,
where it's like, Superman doesn't see Batman; he sees Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
He sees his friend Bruce, and that's how It's like, I know you put on all these masks and you have all these characters and you try to hide who you really are, but all I know is you're the guy I know.
Yeah.
You're the guy I know and I work with, and I do love you and care about you and want you to do well. And I like that. So that's nice. Yeah, I really like what they're doing with the Tony Cap relationship. I think that is something that needs to have some healing.
Oh yeah, especially after all the civil wars and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I liked it. I really liked it. I was trying to. Oh, jeez, gosh, it's right here in front of my freaking face.
Oh, you got a different cover, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's cool though. It's cool. Um, yeah, I like it. It's neat. Um, uh, looking forward to see where we go next. Where we got? Oh yeah, we have the 8 miles above Minneapolis. Activation complete. System checks. Myrmidon online. Oh no! What will Myrmidon do? We're gonna find out next month, kids. Oh,
Yeah, I like the more earthly, but I mean, I'm liking the Iron Man book, but I mean, I don't know, it's a little too cosmic for me in some parts for Tony Stark. I kind of like enjoying him
and it's
a little more.
funny because in this we actually even get like, oh, I'm trying to be down to earth, and I'm trying to be,
Yeah,
a flat in Manhattan, kind of guy. And meanwhile, I'm also the Iron Man Supreme.
and I love how he's like, I died and my body just like, instead of dying, I just kind of like started over. I'm thinking, okay, which one are we talking about? Are we talking about the last one? Are we talking about the one before with Bendis? I mean, like, which one are we talking about? Or is
Well,
it?
he does it a lot, and maybe that's even the point, is he does it a lot.
I mean, that
You
should
know,
be an arc somebody explores somewhere where it's like, how many times has Tony Stark died? I mean, he even did it in the '90s too, and it's just like, no matter what happens, I can't. They won't let me die. Make him like the Coulson and be like, you know what, they won't let me die.
I mean, that would be awesome. Um, although again, it's one of these weird things where it's like the Wizard and Otto never have a problem with it.
Oh no.
And to be fair, what I think it is they keep their clones around. They like interact with some of their clones from time to time, and so they don't get caught up in this idea: am I the clone? Are you the clone? It's like, I don't know. I have the memories of the great Otto Octavius. I am the great Otto Octavius. You are, we are brothers, and and quite frankly, one of us is probably going to die very shortly because that's how this supervillain life is. No one ever worries about the fact that yes, I'm a downloaded memory file imprinted on a new body, and you know what? But that's okay because as far as I know, I'm me, and that's all that really matters.
It's pretty much all of them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent. So here's a fun book. The Marvels.
Mm.
For those who don't know, like last issue, we went to the smoke dimension and we met the Vision. He's let his hair grow. He's got like a mustache and long beard now. Although he decides to shave because he's going to go back into battle with Cap. And we find out that like he can, and this is another one of these interesting things because this story takes place out of continuity because John Storm is not like a big ball of flame.
Ah.
But at the same time, and it's one of these weird things where that this is basically them saying, yes, of course, eventually he won't be a big ball of flame. That would be stupid. We know he's going to go back to this to a normal Johnny Storm eventually, and since this is a somewhat retconned story, we're going to make space for it. They do wind up in Sang Kong, of course, the Madame Lotus, who was a character in a more recent Young Allies backup, which was kind of cool. Or not a backup, but an actual like mini. There's a lot going on here, and Storm is kicking butt, and everyone's kicking butt. But then, oh yeah, this is interesting. I think that's Melinda May in it. I believe we established that earlier that the Agent May is Melinda May.
Oh.
She's leading a character named Powder Keg towards something. And of course, Warbird attacks at the end Madame Lotus and demands, "Where is my father?" Which is something none of us had any idea she was looking for. You're who now? You're what now? Let's see here. Did you read the Ms. Marvel from like a week ago? I don't think we've talked about it yet.
I didn't have a chance. Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, and so that's a little annoying. It was okay. I mean, it's an okay book. It's an okay adventure.
Yeah, because it was like a one shot, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was a one shot, but it kind of had this weird feeling like they're trying to reset her or reboot her
Because they're probably
there's this whole thing about
yeah. Once that show starts, they're probably going to do something different. Yeah.
Yeah, because they make this whole thing about how, oh yeah, I don't have those shape shifting powers anymore.
What?
Which, yeah, it was like, why, what, when? And to be fair, it's one of these weird things of, you can suggest that it was mentioned when she was working with Wolverine, when Wolverine lost his healing factor, that there was something that mentioned that, the more she uses her powers, the less she can use her powers or something. But I don't know, it just felt like a weird power downgrade to present for her. And it's the kind of thing that hits you from kind of out of left field. And what it strikes me as the whole, when Gwenpool's trying to define her power set and what she is and what she can do, and she's like, she doesn't want to just be a mutant, but that's sort of the story that allows her to continue to exist.
Oh no! Are they going to pull a Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch on her? If she's not an Inhuman in the MCU, or is it going to be like, you thought you're an Inhuman, you were really not an Inhuman?
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with her. I just don't want her to have energy-based powers. I want her to continue to have amazing control over her own molecular structure, just like Impossible Jones. So that was my only complaint about that book. Otherwise, it was a fun book. It's she's kind of caught in a Bollywood universe. Next issue is going to be her facing Loki, but Bollywood Loki. So we'll have to see how that works out. Shang-Chi is kind of interesting. Although when you get to the end of the book, you realize they kind of spoil the end of the book on the cover. This is where the group amassing against him finally organizes to make their attack on the House of the Deadly Hand. We get that Shang-Chi movie now, origin for his mom with Xiao Lo, which is kind of cool. She, falls in love with the Mandarin, takes pity on him. But now we get this great little side aspect of this, which is that her father, Chieftain Hin, is coming to kill Shang-Chi's mom because she broke the family rules and worked with an outsider. So that was exciting. Any final book to talk about tonight, Phil?
You said you got 420, right?
Yes, I did. I have not read it yet, but tell me what happens.
Well, I mean, you see it coming because it's basically, Thor and Odin. I mean, Odin doesn't seem really bothered with all this devastation, and Thor's like, it's your, basically, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Again, Odin doesn't seem to take it seriously, and Thor gets in his face and says, "You know what? What does he put it? He goes, as for you, loyal subject of Asgard, you will do well to bite your tongue when addressing your king." Giving the old Odin, like, you're not king anymore.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, he's right. And Odin is kind of a angry old jerk.
Oh yeah, because after he says that, Odin says, "Oh, what are you going to do? Go cry to your mother again?" And Thor just sends him flying.
Yeah.
But then who comes to talk to them is this is funny. Who's trying to get these two to come together? Loki.
Yeah, well, of course, Loki's always, Loki, Tom Hiddleston. There are those who will say historically, Tom Hiddleston ruined Loki. He was too charming and too beautiful to remain evil for so long. Although, to be fair, even Jane Foster was fawning over Loki issue 1. So there's an argument to be made that he was always a lovable lug. But, he became more so in recent years.
But then Sif comes to them and says, "Oh, Thor, you have to come now. There's been another attack. Where's the next attack? Broxton. What is that? Oklahoma."
Oh, Broxton. Yeah.
And so Thor's checking out the devastation. Then he sees Mjolnir coming back, and he's like, "Okay, Mjolnir. Okay, this is it." And then it's like, "Wait a minute." And he can't control it. And he's like, "Who are you? Show yourself." And this thing says, You know who I am. I'm the god of hammers. You know my name. I am Mjolnir." Basically making a body
Mjolnir,
for
the god
itself
of hammers.
out of lightning, I guess.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
So for some
They
reason,
have done so much with Mjolnir's lore lately. Because it was the cosmic storm that was trapped within the Uru, and it'll be interesting how they square that circle.
Yeah,
Is the god of hammers the cosmic storm that
they're trying
Odin
something
could
different.
not tame?
They're trying something different instead of like having everyone and their mother being able to pick up the hammer. So
yeah, well, I'm interested by the idea. I'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
On some level, I think the god of hammers it's really forced.
Yeah. I mean, they've been playing with this for a while. There's the entity and the hammer, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah.
It's going to be a big conspiracy because back in the day, it was just like, oh, it's just Odin magic in there. Now it's going to be, it's going to happen. They're going to be like, oh no, Odin trapped me in there and, made me a slave for millennia.
Well, no, they established that there was this cosmic storm that basically the goddess of storms, that the storm personified was the storm personified is what Odin trapped in the Uru. But they play fast and loose. And actually, funnily enough, there's that established idea presented by Hercules, which is like, our myths aren't static. You think they're static, but they change for us all the time because they change with you, and you change them every few thousand years. So suddenly I'm here and I'm there, but that's that changes who I was, but it doesn't change my reality, even though I guess arguably it does. So it'll be interesting if they explore that as a concept, how stories make gods and how gods make stories. But okay, one last book I do want to talk about: Elvira meets Vincent Price, number 4. Long story short, Tomb Raider was Bastet. They defeat the evil people by playing an old DVD, which has the spell on it, and the Laurel and Hardy stand-ins get, no real comeuppance. It looks like they fall down a pit at most. They get scared by Vincent Van Gogh. And basically it's all well that ends well. Deathflix decides that, I didn't realize that was all fake, that was all real. We assumed it was special effects, and you just tricked them into buying your story and to have you come back as hostess for the Deathflix thing. But her and Vincent Price's ghost, who he thought he would ascend to the immortal plane after this, is still here. So apparently her and Elvira go solve mysteries maybe next issue. So I've always loved Elvira. She is one of my favorite comic book characters. I know she's technically a real person as well, but she'll always be Elvira from Elvira's House of Mystery to me. And I'm very happy to be reading her stories. They're such a grand they're just a grand delight, and so it makes me happy, Phil. That's all I have to say about that. And that's all the books I got to talk about this week. You have any final ones?
No, good.
Okay. Well, Phil, I'm sure many people have things they'd like to talk about. I'm sure there are those who would like to call us and talk to us or buy our merch or do anything like that. And let me tell you, Phil, for those people who are interested in reaching out to us, they should know that they can go to capesandlunatics@gmail.com. That's capesandlunatics@gmail.com and send us their thoughts on tonight's episode. They can also go to 614-382-2737, 614-338-CAPES. If mere email is not visceral enough for you and you want to tell me something you think I should hear, call that number. If you keep the profanity to a minimum, we will play it on the air. And of course, you can find all things Capes and Lunatics and Superconnectivity and many shows elsewhere at Linktree/Capes and Lunatics. That's LINKTR.ee. So remember that it's Linktree.ee. This /Capes and Lunatics. And there you will find all of our merch. Buy some of it. You might like it. And Philip, is there anything else you'd like to say about you or contacting us? And I know that's usually your bit, but I just decided to do it to show you I can be responsible too. But
no, you did. No, you did it good. Do your own plug.
I done good. That makes me happy. Phil Podcast Perich. And of course, if anyone else out there would like to write me personally directly in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, they can do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And follow me on Twitter as I live tweet, I guess apparently on Tuesday, I'm told, the new Naomi series on the CW. It still lives, and it's Naomi, which means every time I watch it, the great David F. Walker gets a nickel, and that's important to me. And if you do want to follow that tweet can be followed at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEssser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us once again, and I look forward to talking to you again next week as we once again connect all the things that are super, and superior and create a super connectivity. Good night.
Good night. Dance.